Tonight on CTV News at 5.
In the case of New Brunswick, for example, 30% of the 15-year-olds are at level 1 in reading.
Literacy levels. Many students are still playing catch up after missing time in the classroom due to the pandemic.
Yet we just keep growing and growing each season, and this place is just packed with everything you could imagine, nostalgia galore.
Searching for treasure. The largest vintage and antique show draws in hundreds of shoppers.
This is a great opportunity to really broaden your spectrum of sports.
Olympic hopefuls. Young New Brunswick athletes look to make their mark in hopes of one day going for gold.
Snow and flurries continue to move across parts of the Maritimes tonight.
Live from the Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 5.
Good evening and welcome to CTV News at 5. I'm Stephanie Seacoast. Maria Panapellis is off tonight. Thanks for joining us. First at 5 tonight, literacy levels. 6 years after the COVID-19 pandemic forced Canadians into lockdown, many children are still playing catch up for the time they missed learning in the classroom. As CTV's Ryan McDonald reports, there are ways to bring students up to speed. Ryan.
Well, Stephanie, in one province, Saskatchewan, the provincial government there is funding what's called literacy instruction training to try and help some students catch up to the curve. But the problem certainly isn't unique to that part of the country.
These are C-stacks.
C-stacks.
For Molly McNeil and her husband, Danny McKinnon, taking their 3-year-old twins to the library in Sydney is a regular thing.
They love it. They just love to come look through all the books and we read.
Their children were born after the COVID-19 pandemic began, so there has been no real interruption to their journey as readers.
Their vocabulary is it's just so full, and I think it's just so helpful for them to be able to communicate and to understand concepts that they don't run into daily in their lives.
But the people who run the library remember the impact that lockdown had on children's literacy.
Lots of programs that we offered, we tried to continue to offer throughout COVID online, but it's not the same.
And of course, many missed time in the classroom. A 2023 international literacy test for 15-year-olds found that in Canada, 18% score below the benchmark for reading literacy. In some parts of the Maritimes, the numbers were even worse.
In the case of New Brunswick, for example, 30% of the 15-year-olds are at level 1 in reading, which means they're the lowest functioning level that you could have.
In Nova Scotia, recent standardized test results found that 32% of grade 3 students failed to meet reading comprehension standards. The director of Schoolhouse Consulting in Halifax says that if you dig deeper into the New Brunswick data, there's another thing that stands out.
If you go to smaller communities under 3,000, those students are 3 years behind in reading levels.
If you go into a room full of grade 2 or full of grade 4 or whatever, and you say, who here likes to read comics? Yeah, all the hands go up.
Cartoonist and author Kate Beaton says that based on her classroom visits, the appetite for reading seems as strong as it ever was, adding that picture books can lead to an interest in something more complex, like a novel.
They always say that comics are a great gateway for reluctant readers, but it's the same for enthusiastic readers. They really bring everybody in.
Back at the library in Sydney, these parents see literacy as a low-cost resource.
Prices of things are only going up, and the accessibility of the library is just so important in Cape Breton, where there's some serious poverty rates.
And Paul Bennett adds that one piece of advice that he has for both teachers and parents is to encourage kids to read entire books, not just snippets. As for what entire book I'm reading these days, it's this one, Running with the Buffaloes by Chris Lear. And it's not just a book, it's a bit of a cult classic. Steph?
Good choice, Ryan. Thank you. CTV's Ryan McDonald reporting in Sydney. Now it's time to check in on what's coming up tonight on CTV News at 6 with Bruce Frisco this evening.
Hey, Steph. Police in Halifax investigating a hit-and-run crash that was captured on video. This happened last week in Bedford. There it is right there. Several cars and other vehicles struck and damaged in the incident. One car owner was shocked when he looked at the video. We'll show you what happened and share the aftermath when you join us tonight for CTV News at 6. Also tonight, a new report on chronic homelessness in the Greater Moncton area is calling for some drastic measures to curb the persistent problem. Everything from building a 50-bed inpatient rehab center to creating a downtown safety hub. The report's authors are hoping to lower the number of people living rough. We'll speak with one of them and bring you all the details tonight at 6. And also tonight, those looking for permanent health care in the greater St. Andrews region of New Brunswick now have some options. The province is expanding the town's wellness center to establish its 14th collaborative care clinic. Everyone who lives in that area will now have primary health care access, according to the officials. You'll get that story coming up tonight on CTV News at 6. Now, we'll head over to Kaylin Mitchell in the CTV Atlantic Weather Center. Just another blustery March day around here.
Yeah, it certainly is, Bruce. As you mentioned, the wind's a little bit on the gusty side. And, of course, the spring snow falling, mostly for the province of Nova Scotia, though some lighter snow in parts of southern New Brunswick, as well as Prince Edward Island. Temperatures right now around the Maritimes are in the range of around 0 to -3. Bruce mentioned the winds, so let's take a look at those. Mostly out of the northeast, they're being sustained in a lot of cases between 20 and 30 kilometers per hour. A little bit lighter than that for some northern areas of New Brunswick, and a little bit stronger than that for some coastal areas of Nova Scotia, right around the Atlantic coastline. A few weather stations there, including one at Backrow Point, and another one at Beaver Island, reporting some sustained winds just over 50 kilometers per hour and some gusts between 50 and 70. Other wind gusts in the Maritimes right now, mostly clocking in between 30 and 50. And then there's the snow. So we have the back edge of the steadier snow just clearing up past the Halifax area now. It has led to some greasy road conditions as we're moving towards the first part of this evening, though the accumulation of this snow has been quite hit and miss depending on what surface it's been falling on. More melting on things like roads, and it's added up a little bit more on things like tree branches, decks, and the roofs of cars. Now, the steadier snow is going to continue for eastern areas of Nova Scotia as we make our way through this evening. That would include Cape Breton. Other parts of the region are winding down to some flurries. It is with this low pressure system that will continue to make its way towards the northeast, having a bigger impact on parts of Newfoundland where they're underneath some winter storm warnings. But I'll have more in the forecast here in the region when I'm back a little bit later on. Stephanie.
Thanks, Kaylin. As we told you Friday, Halifax's largest vintage and antique show was taking over the Lighthouse Art Centre. And as it turns out, hundreds of people stopped by searching for some treasures. CTV's Emma Convey stopped in to see all the unique finds and what made this year such a success.
Antique paintings, timeless china, and one-of-a-kind dresses. Just a few nostalgic pieces found at Halifax's Spring Vintage Show this weekend.
We would do markets mixed in with makers, and we just kind of didn't fit in. We were little misfits, so we decided to start our own show because we knew there was enough interest in vintage, and I'm sure you're aware over the last few years it's really taken off.
The Curio Collective brought this show to light in 2019. This year they have 47 vendors and expect 2,000 people to attend. Some of the proceeds from ticket sales will go to the Mi'kmaq Friendship Centre.
I think the most exciting thing about this year is the fact that we keep growing. This time we have the lobby filled with vendors, and I'm just trying to think, how can I keep expanding this space?
Katie Mullins, who owns and operates the Change Room, has been taking part in this show for the past 3 years.
Plus sizes is what I try to focus on. Obviously, I love color and pattern. I like to say that I'm a mix of like toddler meets grandma.
This show not only opens doors for her business, but it's a way to connect with others with the same passion.
Curio specifically is so special because it's like a bunch of your friends getting together and you get to spend the whole weekend together and just kind of try stuff on and explore what everybody else has to offer.
It wasn't just vintage lovers from Halifax that stopped in. Organizers say shoppers are from all over the region, each one on their own hunt.
A lot of interesting stuff, the furniture, the home decor, they're really nice. Also lots of really nice 80s dress, they're so pretty.
Really love to get things that have been already used and pre-loved, and I think they're just really cute. I love like all the little duck looking things, and then I just love giving things a new home rather than sending them to the dump.
Stuff for my house, stuff like clothes, gifts for people. It's mainly why I'm here today because I got a lot of birthdays this month.
And with the growing interest in thrifted goods, organizers hope for an even bigger turnout next year. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
Time for our first break this evening. Coming up next, we'll have tonight's keyword for our festive France River Cruise contest, plus hitting the mat.
They just help us not just with cheer, with life.
Atlantic Canada's largest cheerleading event took place over the weekend. Why the tournament was about more than winning. That's after the break.
It's the best night of the year. Join Jose Bautista, Brett the Hitman Hart, and Jennifer Botterill at the Desjardins Sports Charity Dinner April 16th in Halifax. Funds raised support Canadian Progress Club Halifax. For tickets, visit progressclubhalifax.ca.
With Easter coming up, these people in Germany are busy dyeing eggs like it's their job. Well, because it is. Here's a sneak peek behind the scenes at the world's oldest egg dyeing facility. The factory has been family-owned since 1953, making colorful Easter eggs that have brought Easter joy for generations. All the eggs used are free-range and organic, and the color mixture is a 70-year-old family secret. CTV, in partnership with CAA Atlantic and AMA Waterways, is giving you the chance to win a festive France river cruise. One lucky viewer will win a 7-night Flavors of Burgundy cruise for 2, where you'll explore iconic landmarks, medieval villages, storied vineyards, and France's culinary capital. Each weeknight from now until Friday, we'll give you a keyword. Once you have it, head to ctvatlantic.ca and follow the contest prompts, or scan the QR code on your screen right now. You can enter once per keyword. The winner will be announced Monday, April 6th. Tonight's keyword is river. Good luck, everybody. Atlantic Canada's largest cheerleading event took place in Halifax over the weekend, featuring more than 100 teams with athletes of all ages. As CTV's Emma Convey reports, the tournament was about much more than winning.
Hundreds of cheerleaders hit the mats this weekend at Atlantic Canada's largest cheerleading event, Cheer Expo.
We have 122 teams, and it's a variety of ages. So we have starting at U6, which is under 6, so like 4, 5, 6-year-olds on those teams, right up until open, which is ages 17 plus. And you could be as old as you want to be. If you want to be 85 and still do it, you can.
After 23 years, organizer Laura Mars says this tournament continues to grow. This year, 86 teams came from out of town, even as far as Alberta. It's significant, a qualifier tournament.
The tournament has a lot of opportunities for bids to go to international events outside of our normal province and our country. So this event gives out bids to the IASF Cheerleading Worlds, which takes place in Florida, as well as super bids, which can be used in different countries across Europe, and also has bids to the AIA Global Tournament, which is a new tournament taking place in Montreal this summer.
Whether the team's focus is tumbling, dance, stunts, gymnastics, or acrobatics, just competing at this event is exciting for these athletes.
Been trying to get for a couple years now is Max Out Award, and so we're trying to get that, and then there's Judge's Choice, there's like specialty awards.
We hit 0, it was so fun, and we just hit it.
This event is a full circle moment for head coach of the U12 Empire Athletics South Shore Titans, Jessica Adler, as she grew up competing here and now she shares her passion and knowledge.
This competition in particular was after our last competition. We had about 6 weeks and we changed pretty much everything in our routine. So the lesson I wanted them to learn this weekend is that it's okay to start over. You can start over.
They just help us not just with cheer, with life.
Win or lose, at the end of the day, personal goals are the most important.
Try to do my best. Cheer each other on and just like encourage each other. Cheer and have fun. Come out off the mat with a smile on your face.
Each one taking these new skills off the mat into life. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
Of course, great work to everyone who competed this weekend, and hopefully anyone who was in from out of town maybe was able to kind of get home yesterday before this messy weather came in.
Yeah, it might have been a little bit tricky driving in some areas. Sunday evening, night, and of course into Monday morning. We're looking out here in the Moncton area. Now, this is one of the parts of the Maritimes. It's only going to be seeing some lighter snow from this weather system. Looks like there's a little bit of light snow and flurries hanging around now. I will have more on the forecast after the break.
On this first Monday of spring, here's a Canadian bear who just woke up from hibernation. This is Jeannie, who took her time waking up this year. The animal care team at Montreal's Eco Museum Zoo predicted she would emerge from hibernation last Tuesday, but she decided to wait several more days. And with weather like we saw today, maybe she should have waited a little bit longer, Kaylin.
Hey, I get it, Jeannie. I'm not a morning person either. You just take your time, you know. Slow roll, especially with that snow falling all around. And yeah, we had a similar morning for us here in parts of the Maritimes as well, with some snowflakes falling. And of course, that weather system continues to bring a little bit of spring snow to the region as we're moving through this evening and tonight. We're looking out here at the Armdale Yacht Club, that gray sky in the background and a few snowflakes falling. You can see it's collected as well and around the shoreline. And this type of spring snow often sees quite a bit of variability as to how much collects depending on the type of surface it falls on. Much more adding up on things like trees and lawns, and a little bit more melt on some paved surfaces like the roads, for example. Now, that being said, as we move through this evening and tonight, temperatures remain below zero. You could start to see a little bit more accumulation where that snow is still falling a little bit steadier, and that's mostly towards eastern areas of Nova Scotia, leading to some slippery road conditions. Barometric pressure right now is falling a little bit lower as this weather system is moving past. It is going to be making its way towards Newfoundland, where I mentioned earlier that there's some winter storm warnings in effect, including an elevated orange level winter storm warning for the Avalon Peninsula, where some parts of the peninsula could pick up between 20 and 40 centimeters of snow tonight through the first part of Tuesday. So this weather system expected to have a bit more of a stormy impact on Newfoundland. Taking a look at things on radar right now here in the Maritimes, the back edge of the steadier snow is just coming in past the Halifax area now, still making its way across eastern areas of Nova Scotia into Cape Breton. Now, in behind it, there will be some areas of lighter snow and flurries. In fact, there's a band of lighter snow right now extending from Prince Edward Island across southern areas of New Brunswick and back into the state of Maine. And that still is going to have to clear across the Maritimes as we make our way through this evening and tonight, and in some cases could lead to some additional local snowfall amounts of around 1 to 5 centimeters. Taking a look at our timeline then for cloud cover and precipitation. So as we make our way through this evening towards midnight, that steadier snow is going to be exiting to the northeast of Nova Scotia on its way up into Newfoundland. There will be some flurries, though, in behind it, and some flurries and some light snow will be a little bit more widespread, a little bit more persistent around eastern areas of Nova Scotia, including parts of the North Shore and the Eastern Shore, and Cape Breton overnight and into Tuesday morning. And by the time we get to Tuesday afternoon, that should be down to some scattered flurries for that part of the Maritimes, and the remainder of the region mostly a mix of sun and cloud. Taking a look at additional snowfall amounts then, there may be still some totals in the range of around 5 to 15 centimeters to come for eastern parts of Nova Scotia. Other parts of the region may be picking up some amounts of trace ranging up to around a few centimeters. Taking a look at the winds in the forecast, they're blustery right now out of the northeast. The wind direction changes a little bit for tomorrow, with the wind becoming more northerly. It'll still be on the blustery side, though, with some fairly widespread gusts of 30 to 50 kilometers per hour for Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island, and between 20 and 40 kilometers per hour for New Brunswick. Taking a look at the low temperatures in the forecast for tonight for the Maritimes, falling a few to several degrees below zero, and a little bit colder than that through northern areas of New Brunswick, with some low temperatures between -8 and -14, coldest up towards the north and the northwest. And high temperatures in the forecast for tomorrow for the Maritimes will mostly range a few degrees below to a few degrees above the freezing mark, some of the chillier conditions around Prince Edward Island and eastern areas of Nova Scotia. Let's take a look at our weather watcher for tonight. And tonight's weather watcher is coming in from 7-year-old Allie Bland from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Allie has sent us a drawing of a spring day featuring some bunnies named Bun Bun and Lily, and also some night crawlers coming out after a rain, and that's good bait for fishing. Thank you. Great job, Allie. Weather watchers can come anytime to CTV Weather Watchers, P.O. Box 1653, Halifax, Nova Scotia, B3J2Z4, or email kaylin.mitchell@bellmedia.ca. Stephanie.
Thanks, Kaylin. Time for one final break this evening. Coming up next, making their mark.
Really nice people, really nice things that we can use to test ourselves.
Young New Brunswick athletes look to make an impression in hopes of one day becoming an Olympian. That story is coming up after the break.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter. What would your 20-year-old self be shocked to learn about you now? We're talking about it tomorrow at 7.
And win your share of Aaron and Peter's $10,000 payroll. Register at move100halifax.ca.
Moncton's Courtney Serow became a household name in New Brunswick thanks to her recent Olympic success, and officials are already looking for the next Olympian from the province. CTV's Avery McRae brings us to the RBC Training Ground event in Fredericton, where young athletes looked to make their mark.
Young New Brunswickers had their shoes tied tight Sunday at UNB in hopes of making a strong first step in what could be the start of their Olympic journey.
Honestly, I think it's pretty cool. There's some really nice people, really nice things that we can use to test ourselves.
I'm trying to get better at my sport, so I thought this would really help me.
Even though I might not be, selected, it's still fun to be out here and really test my abilities.
Through feats of strength, speed, power, and endurance, the RBC Training Ground program travels across Canada in hopes of identifying future Olympic athletes from age 14 to 25. Over the program's 11 years, 28 future Olympians have been found, producing 12 medals for the country.
There's sports that are late entry sports or not necessarily in the school system that it's hard to start. So, for example, maybe rowing. It's not something that you would start when you're 12, but maybe you're a really good basketball player and you're really, really strong, then that would transfer over to rowing. So it's a way to transfer to some of those more niche sports and find athletes that way.
One of those athletes who has seen her Olympic pathway accelerate thanks to the program is kayak sprinter Maren Bradley, who took part in the training ground years ago. She's now preparing for her Olympic debut at the 2028 Los Angeles Games.
Something I wish I did more that I think young athletes should do is ask questions. Ask away, learn new things, talk about sports you'd like to try, talk about sports that you've done in the past. This is a great opportunity to really broaden your spectrum of sports.
The top 100 Canadian athletes identified through this event will compete in a national final later this year, where the top 35 will receive funding to further develop their sport. The training ground is slated to come to Halifax at the end of May. Ava McRae, CTV News, Fredericton.
It's fascinating to hear something like basketball could be a transferable skill to rowing.
I mean, it just makes sense to me, right? Find hidden talents, hidden skills, give people a little bit of direction.
Especially at that young age.
Well, I guess it's my job to give some further direction on the weather coming up this week. So I'll have an update coming up in CTV News at 6, including the latest on what's left of the snow making its way through tonight.
All right, we'll see you then, Kaylin. Thanks for watching CTV News at 5. Your national news starts now.